IntelligenceSquared.com.
When I see films of dogs and cats, which I'm sure you all love, in Asia, when they're boiled live, when they're beaten with clubs so their meat will be tender, I'm kept awake by it. And if any one of you here who eats meat loves a cat or a dog and considers that animal a member of their family, I'm going to ask you tonight to extend that love out to other creatures. I want you to realize that these are not free animals. These are not animals free-ranging on some meadow. These are animals kept inside cages, as I said. I want all of you to sit on a chair for 6 hours and not move. Lie on one side of your body and not be allowed to move, only for 6 hours. You will go hysterical, mad, and they're kept like that, sometimes for 6 months, a year, sometimes even longer. How can we do this?
Primates have a problem, and that is they don't synthesize vitamin B12, and that's really rather essential for you. And the only way they can get it is through meat. So all primates have to eat meat in some form. In most cases, that's birds' eggs, maybe birds' nestlings, lizards, worms. From about, well, let's say 1 million to 500,000 years ago, as brain size started to shoot up, brains are incredibly expensive. Your brain weighs about, dare I say it, 2% of your body weight. It's a tiny thing. It actually consumes very nearly 20% of every Mars bar you eat, just to keep going in its resting state.
We now realize that one of the major contributing factors to greenhouse gas emissions is animal production. This has been said by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, who said a few years ago in a document called Livestock's Long Shadow that livestock emissions exceed all transport emissions. When people say, look, I only eat grass-fed beef, for instance, it may be true that the animals have a better life than if they're kept in feedstocks or factory farms. But a lot of people don't realize that from a climate change perspective, it's worse. It's actually worse to eat grass-fed beef from a climate change perspective than it is to eat beef that has been raised on grain. And the reason for that is because of the methane that the animals are producing. And because they have to chew a lot of grass to put on a kilo of beef, as compared to a relatively smaller amount of grain, which has got more nutritional value, they take longer to do it, they have to chew the cud more, and their digestive systems inevitably release more methane during that process. I just heard Robin Dunbar saying that primates have to eat meat because they need B12. Well, of course, fortunately, we've got around this. We can take B12 tablets, and we can adequately get plenty of B12 that way. So we don't really need to eat meat for our health, and there are many vegetarians and vegans, including third generation, who are perfectly healthy and do very well. It's also more efficient to eat plant foods directly generally than to eat beef. So I see no necessity, and I see strong moral reasons why we should not eat animals.
Our dentition is designed to tear and chew flesh, unlike, for example, ruminants who can only crush and grind. Our gut has been shortened by evolution, is now the length it is, and our digestion is tailored to allow us to extract nutrition from meat. Our bigger brains have developed because we're equipped to take in calories efficiently. Meat is the most efficient way, even now, to take in concentrated calories. And cooking it is simply a form of pre-digestion, reducing the amount of energy we have to expend to extract the nutrition. It is not necessary to treat animals badly to raise them for their meat, nor to slaughter them inhumanely. I think Peter Singer has conceded this. In fact, as any butcher will tell you, the opposite of this last is true. Animals stressed at slaughter produce poor quality meat. The best way to see that these animals have a short but decent life is to eat more lovely, juicy, pink British veal.
Unfortunately, over 84% of all the meat that you eat in this country comes from a factory farm. One of the statements that Paul Levy said is, meat is the best way of taking in concentrated calories. Well, yes, Paul, as you can see from his tummy, that is absolutely the way. Vitamin B12 is an absolute myth. Yes, you can get it from meat, but you can also get cholesterol, type 1 onset diabetes, cancer. This is all scientifically proven. This is not Heather Mills's rant. And unfortunately, it takes most of us to become very, very ill because we live in a society of me, me, me. And once we become ill, or people around us become ill, we open our eyes and ears and we put our heads above the parapet and we ask, why? I'm asking you to go out in the street, to walk down to the nearest field you possibly can, and show me those claws you have where you can jump on the cow, rip it apart, and start munching on it. If your teeth and your hands were made to do that, how can you rip that flesh apart? You can't. It's just what the meat and the dairy lobbyists infiltrate into you. When you were young, you literally were force-fed those horrible, warm, cream-top milks. You remember those little bottles when you were at school? And you go, oh, I don't want to drink that. And that was full-fat milk. And you said, as you were older, oh, I could never taste that disgusting skim milk. Well, now you go back to that full-fat milk after your skim milk, and it tastes awful. So try soya milk, try rice milk. There are 25 different milks. We are the only mammals that consume milk from an animal. You know, everyone said that I said you should go and drink rat's milk. I have never said that in my life. I said drinking rat's milk, dog's milk, and cat's milk is as ridiculous as drinking cow's milk. Would you get up in the morning and just start sucking on the udder of a cow? No, you wouldn't.
Natural not being the same as moral. I think a lot of this argument becomes a bit sort of bogus when people argue about what was natural, you know, what we were born to, what we evolved to do. I don't think that really tells us anything. I mean, there may be facts about what we need, we must have nutritionally, and they might be relevant. But, you know, what is natural in itself, and Abbas put the point, well, lots of things are natural, we fight them tooth and nail. It's very natural for women to die in childbirth and everything, and thankfully we try and go against that. So naturalness doesn't tell us very much. In 1986, I gave up eating meat. Now, I say that very precisely, gave up eating meat. Now, like a lot of people who are mocked by people who never do anything like that kind, if you look carefully, my position was inconsistent and, you know, sort of very vague and blurry. I gave it by meat, I meant land animals, basically. I still ate fish. And of course, you know, I still had milk and dairy. And as has been pointed out, you can't have a dairy industry without the killing of male calves. So, you know, if you think that you're sort of, you know, off the hook when it comes to killing animals because you're a lacto-vegetarian, that's just not true. There is very clearly a continuum in nature. There's a spectrum from the simplest single-cell organism through, you know, bacteria, you know, bugs, mice, cats, dogs, humans. There is a continuum there. And it is just absurd to sort of insist that all life must be treated with equal respect.
Yes, we could all live in peace and harmony, and you might think that's crazy and the hippie nut risotto thing, but basically, yes, if the farmers started growing grain and we used it to feed ourselves, and we utilized soybean and pea protein, which I'm now trying to cut down on soybeans and use pea protein, that is the future as well. We could absolutely live very healthily on a vegan diet worldwide.
Wouldn't be much fun.
In a way, you know, if you're saying don't eat animals, I'm not saying that it's always wrong to eat animals. I'm not saying that it's wrong for the Kung of the Kalahari to eat animals, if that's the only way they can eat. I'm not even saying that it's wrong for you if you, in driving home, you find some roadkill and you want to eat that. I'm not saying that's wrong either, because of course you didn't kill the animal. Perhaps if you were living on your own farm and you could look after the animals perfectly and then kill them painlessly on the spot and eat them, you could defend that as well. But realistically, if you're contributing to the commercial raising of animals for food, I don't think you can get out of either contributing to the unjustifiable suffering of animals or contributing to climate change and the greenhouse effect. And I'm going to ignore the gentleman who said that I was obsessed with this. I think anybody who is not seriously concerned about what we are doing to our climate is really missing something very important about the future of the planet that we should be extremely concerned about.
Thank you.